As you know, with the chamber, we don't have any reserved tables here, so people get here early. And we do have a special gift for the first person who was here before me. I usually get here at 5, but there was an individual here at 4:30 this morning to get a table for Geno. And for a special gift, J. Polk at Willowbrook Spirits has a bottle of Geno's wine, Phil Cacciola. Later. Okay. Harry Burr was here at 5:15, and Tom from Chicago Sam's just got out of work and got here about 5:30. So they were very early today. A couple things before I introduce those people at the head table that aren't speaking. For those student athletes that are here, there are strict NCAA rules. No students may get their picture taken or signature from Coach this morning. This is NCAA. This has nothing to do with UConn, has nothing to do with Coach also. So just to have people know that at this point. We have a lot of functions coming up for the Chamber. On April 10th, we have Gene Chatsky, who's the financial editor of the NBC Today show, will be speaking at our Women in Business workshop. That's a terrific workshop which we have scheduled for April 10th. For those people that are involved in the high school career fair, again, a big thanks for Wesleyan. We've got their hockey rink for this event. We're expecting about 1,500 students throughout the county to come in, and we'll have about 150 of our members offering suggestions to these young people from our various different high schools for career choices. Immediately after the breakfast today, we have an affordable housing workshop in the Jersey Room, and that is going to be very important because we're really trying to focus on keeping our young people living here in the state of Connecticut, working here in the state of Connecticut, and growing their families here in the state of Connecticut. Thanks to Liberty Bank and especially Sue Murphy for sponsoring that event. Also, those people at the head table that won't be speaking, hold your applause until I finish. Mayor Dan Drew from the city of Middletown, Mayor Enzo Fienza from the town of Cromwell. We have to have a special round for D. Rowe, the Dean of UConn, and also, as you know, he went into the Hall of Fame over this past year up in Springfield. Just a role model for everyone at the University of Connecticut and every coach in the state of Connecticut, and he's been very, very close to Geno. Geno, Dee said to me this morning, this is the earliest he's been up in 2 months. Also, another legend and a great guy, great coach, a very close friend also of Geno's, but this is another legend in coaching in the state of Connecticut and a very close friend of our chamber for many, many years. Howie Dickman, former head basketball coach at Central. And we have also Jay Polk, our next year's chairman. Susan Herbst, the great president of UConn, is with us here today, who's done such a phenomenal job at the University of Connecticut. Mike Whalen, the athletic director at Wesleyan University, is with us. Joe Riley, the great basketball coach, men's coach at Wesleyan. And Kate Mullen, Wesleyan University women's basketball coach. Let's have a round of applause for all of them. And I want to thank everyone for being here today. The amount of people here, as you know, this is a sold-out event. Thank you very much for coming, and thanks to the guy upstairs for delaying the snowstorm till tonight instead of this morning, which was very important, as last week they had it targeted for this morning. Now it gives me a great honor to introduce our chairman, Rick Morin.
Great. Thank you, Larry. As Larry said, welcome to our March almost snowed out breakfast meeting. looking forward to hearing what Geno has to say. But I'd like to start by recognizing our state and local officials that are in attendance today. As usual, we have quite a list, so you refer to the blue sheets in your package if you like. And we have continuing our trend of new members. We have quite a list today. If these members are here, please stand as I read your name and hold your applause till the end. We have Chip's Family Restaurant in Weathersfield. We have Community Economic Development Fund out of Meriden. Hold your applause, please. Greenleaf Advancement out of Guilford. Ice Cream Emergency, I guess which we could all use today, Killingworth. Small Victories Wellness Services PLLC out of Middletown. And last but not least, the Life Planning Retirement Group LLC, also out of Middletown. Great. And we have a special recognition today to Liberty Bank for being the presenters of the forum that Larry mentioned after this, the Affordable Housing Workshop titled A Key to Keeping Younger Workers in Connecticut. I'm sorry. And those of you that have signed up, that'll be happening right after this breakfast at 9:15. And last but not least, I'd just like to thank Gary Vallow and Middle Oak for being the host this morning and bringing Geno to us. Thank you.
Also from UConn that's with us here today is Andrea Dennis Levine. You can hold your applause to the end. The great board member on the Board of Trustees. Beth Getz, the Associate Athletic Director at the University of Connecticut. Bill Pizzuto, the Director of the Waterbury branch of UConn. Rochelle Rubin, the Chief of Staff, and does a great job. And another real legend in the sport area. I was honored to get the gold key with him back in the 80s. A great coach, not only in high school, but went on at the University of Connecticut as a baseball coach. He is in also the Baseball Hall of Fame. A great person, Andy Baylock. Let's recognize all of these people. Andy, please stand up and be recognized. Also, at our last business after work, we had about 275 people. Jude, will you please stand up with your whole Sheridan Hartford team? Let's recognize them, give a round of applause for the great job that they did at our last business after work. And one other of our members, Attorney Vargas, a great guy, was named the Mayor of the Day in the city of Waterbury. He's a great member of our chamber from the Dominican Republic. Stand up, Attorney Vargas. And we got a nice small event coming up in a couple of months, and Jason Soucy from the Travelers. Come on up, Jason.
Thank you, Larry. Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe with another nor'easter bearing down on us here that the tournament's coming up in just, I think, 98 days. I need some golf weather to come in here pretty quick. But the good news, hopefully all of you saw, we continue to get, with it being 98 days, our early commitments will start to come in fast and furious. And we announced recently that after Rory McIlroy committed, the 2016 FedEx Cup champion, Justin Thomas, 2017 FedEx Cup champions committed early. And that's just tremendous for us to be able to get these great players to be able to let us know that the PGA Tour is coming to Connecticut early. But more importantly for us, it helps because, you know, every year we've been kind enough. We have such great fans. You guys are all great about stopping and grabbing us and saying, hey, last year was the best ever. That was the best tournament ever. And luckily, we feel like we've been achieving that goal year after year, but it's a challenge, but it's something we get excited to do. It's our motto at our small office that runs the tournament is we want to be the best at getting better on the PGA Tour, which is, it's a good standard to have, but I think here in Connecticut, we're held to higher standards, and I've kind of got to blame the guy to my right over here, Geno Auriemma, who better exemplifies the best at getting better than Geno every year, and that's something that we strive to do, and we hope, coming up in June, we'll be able to do that. But year in, year out, the program that Geno puts together, amazing what they do. They really are the center of the basketball universe for women's basketball, and so that sets a standard for us here in Connecticut. And I want to personally thank him for all the advocacy and support he's given us over the years, and hopefully we will be the best at getting better again this year. See you guys all in June. Thanks.
There's one other event coming up. As you know, in Middletown, we are, thanks to the mayor and the council, and also many of the residents in the state of Connecticut that have supported this, especially the veterans group. We have the Connecticut Trees of Honor in Middletown, which basically trees are there for those people that have lost their lives over the past years in Afghanistan and also the other wars that we've been involved in, Iraq. This is a very, very important thing for Middletown. We've got a huge veterans group that does a terrific job, and there's a Veterans Hall of Fame going up also near Palmer Field. And they have a big event coming up. As you know, there's major costs for this for the Trees of Honor because we lose people on an ongoing situation. They want to upkeep it. It is beautiful for the families to get there and to have some really peace and quiet thinking about their loved one that lost their lives. But there is an event coming up in May, and Sue Marcucci, I think, is with us here today. I want to thank you, Sue, for your dedication to all of the veterans in the state of Connecticut, but especially to those veterans that have, and families that will never be forgotten because of what you and your group have done. And there's an event in May, I think it's May 6th, a chili cookout out at Harbor Park, and I got Palmer Field Harbor Park, but it said Harbor Park, and I want to make sure people try to support them for that. So let's have a round of applause for Sue. Thank you very much. And before introducing Gary, I just want to thank Geno for being with us again here today. More important to me, and I know to Susan and to others here that are associated with the University of Connecticut, is not so much the wins and the national championships, which are very important, but more important for Geno is the fact that he is so grounded, and he has never really forgotten his family, where he's from, the type of individual he is. He gives back constantly. He's accessible. He's just a really good man. For that, I think all of us should be very proud that he's the head women's basketball coach at the University of Connecticut. But I'm very proud of Geno the man. And I think all of us should recognize that on a daily situation, that we have on leadership a national celebrity, but he has never forgotten his roots in Philadelphia, where he started here at the University of Connecticut. And for that, everyone in the state of Connecticut should be always, always grateful. Thank you, Geno. We have a great sponsor today, Middle Oak, Gary Vallow. As I get up and I say every month, we are very, very fortunate to have here in Middlesex County businesses that are committed not only to do great business, but more important, to give back to the community. And Middle Oak, through Gary's leadership, has done that constantly. They are a strong supporter of everything the Chamber does. In fact, Gary is on our executive committee. He's a big-time supporter of our mentor program and other programs we run. But Middle Oak is very important to us here in Middlesex County and the state of Connecticut. Gary, I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your commitment to the state of Connecticut. And more important to me, I want to thank you for your unbelievable friendship. Gary Vallow.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry, for your tremendous leadership of the Chamber, and most of all for your friendship and support for over 30 years. Larry is the most positive person I know. And if the sun always shines over Middlesex County, It's because Larry drives the clouds away. It's a great pleasure for Middle Oak once again to sponsor this event and to introduce our guest speaker, Coach Geno Auriemma. Newsflash. The Connecticut women's basketball team did not win the NCAA championship last year. At the final buzzer from here in Husky country, you could almost hear the celebration in places like South Bend and Knoxville. Ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead. But here's a word of advice from all of us here to all of our friends at South Carolina and Mississippi State and Louisville and Notre Dame. Be careful what you wish for, because the 2018 Huskies are on a mission, not like last year, to defend a winning streak created by teams past, but rather to create their own legacy. And they are really ticked off. Snarky critics suggest that the culture of sustained excellence that signifies UConn women's basketball and their annoying habit of winning nearly every game is simply the result of getting great players. But these pundits simply don't get it. For the key has been Coach Auriemma's ability to recruit a particular type of great player who is willing to sacrifice individual glory for the benefit of the team. That is not an easy sell in an era of sports star narcissism, and especially to 17-year-old star players who have been put on a pedestal by their coaches and parents since grade school. But then again, nothing about sustained excellence is easy. Coach Auriemma recently made headlines by proclaiming that UConn's dominance won't last forever, so we'd best appreciate it while it lasts. Speaking for all of us, Coach, we want you to know that we understand how difficult it must be to convince a high school star athlete to come to the exciting nightlife and fabulous weather of Storrs, Connecticut, to be yelled at by you. We want you to know that we don't take what you have accomplished for granted, that we savor every win, every record, every championship. And we want you to know that we are grateful for the enormous pride that you have instilled in our small state. As the new season unfolded, Coach Auriemma delivered his 1,000th win as a gift to us in time for Christmas. And there is no doubt in this room that in a few short weeks, Coach Auriemma will be following that up by bringing back to Connecticut an unprecedented 12th national championship. The burdens of success are great. Please stand and join me in welcoming the Hall of Fame women's basketball coach at the University of Connecticut, Geno Auriemma.
You don't believe any of that stuff, do you? That's just the way people talk when they're all excited. Thank you, Gary. Thank you. This time of the year, it's always the same questions that we get nonstop. And it usually involves one, so we're going to win another championship. And not like, are we going to be really good this year? Never, hey, can we be a little bit better than we were last year? Can we make a run in the NCAA tournament? Can we get a high seed maybe? Can we be placed in the right region? Can we check and see if our name is called on the selection show? All the normal questions that most coaches get a chance to answer. The only questions that we get to answer are, so now that you won every game during the regular season, the season really starts tonight, right? Yeah, in some ways the season starts tonight, because we've put ourselves in a position where what happens from October to March has become so routine and so expected that nothing phases anybody anymore. At least that's what I thought going in. And then something happened this year that I thought was really interesting, that for the first time, I think Neil and I talked about this, I think this is the highest amount of people and what we've been able to generate for the university, I think in the last 10 years, which is hard to explain because we lost. If I'd have known we were going to be this popular, we would have lost a lot sooner. This is the only place in America where you get more appreciated when you lose. And that might have something to do with the fact that we proved last year that we're somewhat human. And that if you're an athlete and you're a coach and you play long enough and you coach long enough, the expectation is that you're supposed to win. You know that old saying, you win some, you lose some? I don't know that anybody has said, you win them all and lose every 5 years. So we have some juniors on our team that have lost one game in their college career. Now, a lot of people just went, yeah, so? Well, there's a lot of coaches that lose more games in a week than those kids have lost in their career, which by all measurements makes no sense whatsoever. That's why everybody hates us. Even my mother told me that. Even my mother told me that. When I told her I was worried about a game, she said, so you lose. It's no big deal, you know, so you lose. It's okay, you lose. It's a game and you lose. You don't have to win all the time. That's why everybody hates you. Which, by the way, do we have any doctors in the house? Especially any 86-year-old doctors. Because I need your advice, and I need you to talk to my mother. My mother's gone through some issues with some arthritis, and she refuses to go to the doctors. And I said, why not? I don't like to go to the doctor. I said, what? The doctor. They kill you. I said, well, they haven't done it so far. You're 86. So if any of you have any suggestions, contact me in my office. I'll put you in touch with my mother. Maybe she'll listen to you. But she'll be on the phone tonight with me after the selection, and she'll start asking me about the bracket. Because she's pretty up to date on all this stuff. What threw her for a loop was we had a new team in our league this year. So when she was telling me, Ma, you score a lot of points. I go, yeah, you know, that team, the witch. Who does the witch? I go, who does she hate now? Which coach does she hate now? Oh, no, you play the witch, you know. And I'm thinking. And I said, Wichita State? Yeah, the Wichita, the witch. So that kind of screwed her up for a little bit. Okay? She doesn't know where Reading, Pennsylvania is, much less Wichita. So tonight, she'll want to ask me about the bracket. She'll want to know who's good, be careful of this team, be careful of that team. So she's like a regular fan. And I think she probably appreciates more than anybody else that this is hard to do. It's hard to be that consistent for that long. I just read in the paper this morning, that's where I get most of my information. I could run for president. I read that we've been the #1 seed in the tournament every year since 2006. If I'm not mistaken. Mike, is that right? There you go. He wrote it. He should know. So that's 12 straight years we've been the #1 seed. I know, that's what I said. I went, wow, I can't believe that. So we've lost more national championships than we've won since 2006. As the #1 seed, you're supposed to go to the Final Four and you're supposed to win a national championship. So when you see things like this, you go, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. And those of you that are old enough, and there's a lot of you in here, you know, that old Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers story, right? When they had to practice for like 5 hours a day, and she finally asked him, why do we have to work so hard every single day? He said, we have to work this hard to make it look that easy. And you know, when you make things look easy, people think that you're just entitled to it, because it just comes natural. And nothing about this comes natural. It's really, really hard. And we got coaches up here that will tell you it's really, really hard. And the kids that play for me, they know how hard it is. And because they know how hard it is, they come here expecting that because it's hard and because it's difficult, they're going to get better. And they're going to improve to the point where good things will happen to them while they're here and great things will happen to them when they leave here. And we happen to be at a school where they're expected to do well in school. You know, what do we have? 12 players on our team, and 10 of them were honored for getting over a 3.0, which is not easy to do when you're traveling and you're doing all the stuff that you're doing. So they come here, they want to be great students, and they want to be great basketball players. And the nightlife isn't bad in Stores. I mean, that's why else would all these National Players of the Year come to Connecticut? It's not for Stores, it's not for the state of Connecticut. It's for what we all stand for as people. We expect a lot from ourselves, and we expect a lot from others. At least I think that's the case. We expect a lot from others, and sometimes we expect a lot from ourselves. These players come here and they feel that. They walk into my building where we practice and they look around and they see the names of the players that are up there. They can't hide from it. So every day they're confronted with legends. And some kids get overwhelmed by it and can't function. And other kids thrive on it. They came here because they want to be one of those. They want to be recognized as one of the legends that played basketball at Connecticut. And it's not easy. And it's not always as much fun in games as you think it is when you watch us play out there. This has been the most difficult year that we've had here internally, I would say probably in the last 6 or 7 years. It's been really, really hard because we brought in 6 new players, and of those 6, I would say 5.5 of them don't know a damn thing about basketball. So it's been really, really hard, and it's been really, really difficult. And through it all, we've won every game. Games that I thought we would have a hard time winning, we've won easily. The 2 teams that played for the Big 12 championship. One of them we beat. The other one we didn't play. The two teams that played for the ACC championship, we beat both of them. The one team that played for the Pac-12 championship, we beat them. The Big 10 champions, we didn't play them. So of all the conferences in the country, we won most of them this year. So I was just asked, what difference does the conference make in your success? Well, in our situation, what conference we're in makes no difference. We could play in any conference and I think be successful as long as we get the players that we get. I think from a fan standpoint, I think you guys would all love for us to be playing traditional schools that you remember, that you feel some sort of attachment to. But yet, if we were in a conference, we played people that you know and lost, that wouldn't make you happy. So no matter what conference we're in, it's about being successful. And that goes for football, men's basketball, women's basketball, ice hockey, which, by the way, the men's and women's ice hockey team were phenomenal this year, as was the field hockey team and all. Like, we have some great programs at school. But for us, winning a national championship is the only thing that matters now. And that all starts tonight. And we've got two kids, I think, that are going to make first-team All-American. We've got a couple other kids that are going to get honored, blah, 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 blah. And all that stuff means nothing if we don't win the next 6 games. And that's kind of a tough way to go through life, that you play 32 games, and now the only games that matter are the next 6. And that they could obliterate the other 32. I'll tell you a quick story, and I hope he's not in the room. I went for a walk when I got back from the Final Four last year. So I'm walking, and the guy driving down the opposite way pulls up next to me in a truck, and he rolls down the window. Coach, I said, hi. He goes, I'm Reverend so-and-so. I don't know whether, I don't think a Catholic priest calls himself Reverend. Do they, D? Who are the Reverends? Episcopalians and you guys like you, right? So he couldn't have been a priest. He would have said, I'm Father so-and-so. At least the ones I knew growing up. So he goes, I'm Reverend so-and-so. I said, well, hi, to meet you. He goes, I got a $64,000 question. I said, go ahead. He goes, what happened? So that's what I did. I started laughing. And I thought, here's another guy, just like all of these guys, you know, they all want to give me a hard time. My friends back home, everybody. I get texts and calls from people only when we lose. I might only hear from a guy once a year. If we lose, what happened? So I said, you know, I guess we just weren't good enough. So I guess we just weren't good enough this year. And I thought that would be the end of it. And he goes, no, seriously, why? I said, excuse me. He goes, what was it? Too many freshmen? You guys didn't have it that day? You guys didn't show up? What happened? I said to myself, damn, this guy's serious. So I said, yeah, you know, yeah, we won every game, and then we lost in the national semifinals of the Final Four. We just weren't any good this year. And he goes, oh, no, that's not what I meant. He said, we're just used to so much success here at Connecticut. Now think about what he just said. We're just used to so much success here at Connecticut that 32 or 36, 37, 38, 39, it doesn't matter, and 1 is not a successful season. So if you were one of my players walking around everywhere you go after that Mississippi State game, that's kind of what you heard. So when people say, how hard is it to play at Connecticut? It's really, really, really hard. And what's the reward? Well, 15,000 people come to watch the Notre Dame game at the XL Center. We play a team like Memphis that's won 3 games, and 13,000 people come to the XL Center to watch that game. So the reward is they play in front of fans that appreciate how hard they work and their level of success. And that, to me, is the essence of our program. They play in a program where people appreciate what they do. And they expect excellence, just like we do. So now, this year, that's it. We want them all. We'll find out tonight who we play. We'll know tomorrow morning what our path is. We'll play 2 games at home. If you win the first one, you get the second one. If you win the second one, you got a week off and you play the following weekend. If you lose one of the first 2, you got 5 months off. But no one here in this room expects. How many people have tickets to Columbus, Ohio already? I know, but you're going anyway. Maybe I'll go with you. Yeah. So we'll know tomorrow morning, and our guys are excited somewhat. We had some people here that were at our practice yesterday. You were at our practice yesterday? Anybody else at our practice yesterday? Did it look like we were undefeated team, #1 in the country? We looked like we couldn't. And who's the high school teams that are here? What team is that? Huh? Oh, Mercy and New Britain. We would have had trouble beating them yesterday, correct? She's not kidding. She just said yes, yes, yes. Okay? So right now I think practice is lousy because nobody wants to practice. They all want to play. So we'll find out tonight where we're playing, who we're playing, when we're playing, and all that good stuff. And then the rest is over in 3 weeks. Who thinks we're going to win the whole thing? I got a guy who grew up, he bets all our games in the NCAA tournament. I'm afraid to go home if we lose. Last year after the tournament, I called him, I said, you got to be out of your mind, right? He goes, why? I said, you know, we're like a 39-point favorite. He goes, yes, like yesterday, somebody would tell me, yeah, you know, you guys are a 39-point favorite. I go, yeah, I didn't even know they had lines in these games. He goes, oh, yeah. I go, you got to be crazy to throw good money around like that. He goes, how about you just coach your team and let me worry about making money? And then we got the Nike people going, you know you're playing an Under Armour school, right? Jesus, Mary and Joseph. All right? So we got stuff going on. It's way different than just winning games. Does anybody have any questions before I know we got to wrap this thing up a little bit? Yeah. Yeah. What's what? Yeah. Yeah, she blocked the shot the other day. I don't know whether she did it on purpose or she just got in the way. But she's the biggest difference in our team this year that we didn't have last year. And if we were to be fortunate enough to win the whole thing, she's going to be the reason why. Because when you get in a tournament like that, it generally isn't run up and down the floor and have fun and look pretty. You're going to have to get easy baskets. And she's capable of doing that. You know? And the thing that worries me is she's already made 1-3 in March, and she's usually good for 2 a month. And you know what's funny? That used to be her thing at Duke. Like everybody says, she's a great three-point shooter. And now she makes on a good month, too. Yeah.
I don't want to rush you through this season because we hope for 6 more wins, but looking at next year,
I know, here it comes.
we got 2 of the top 100 recruits coming in next year. What can you tell us about their game, and do their games remind you of any current or past player?
Yeah, I just saw the one kid that's coming. I went down to see her play in the state championship game, and they had lost to this team 2 years ago in the state championship game because she didn't box out on a free throw. And the kid got an offensive rebound, scored, they lost the game. So now they're seniors and they're playing the same team again. And she had 42 and they won by a lot. And she's just the kind of kid that she scores a lot of points. She's like most kids that come out of high school today that are at that level. They score a lot of points. That seems to be what people watch on TV anymore. That's the thing that everybody gets enamored with. She scores a lot of points. She's left-handed guard, and we don't have anybody like her. Maybe I don't even remember anybody like her that we've had. She's just different. Now, whether she'll be a great college player right away or not, I don't know. But there's something about her. There's just something about her. I don't know what it is. But she won the Naismith Award as a high school basketball player of the year, all that, blah, 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 blah. So whatever that means, I don't know. The other kid came off knee surgery, Olivia, and she's like 6'3", long, like Azare, and played great at USA basketball. So we got a big kid that we're going to need because Gabby and Kia are going to be irreplaceable in a lot of ways. Those two kids do stuff for us that we're not going to be able to replace. So we got to be a little bit different. But these two kids, Kristen Williams and Olivia, are probably two of the top 5 players in the country. And I think they're going to be terrific for us. But I always say that about our freshmen. I like them when I'm recruiting them, and I like them when they graduate. Yeah.
Coach, you mentioned you recruit certain types of players. How do you, in such a short window, figure out and determine that person's right?
We've gotten it wrong a lot of times recently. You know, it's easy to identify the best players. I mean, I think most good coaches can do that. It's harder to identify which players fit in and which players have the ability to handle the pressure that goes with playing here. So it's gotten harder and harder all the time. That's why you see so many kids transfer now. I think on the men's side, it's like, Joe, what was it, like 800? 800 kids transfer last year. There's only 360 Division I teams. So that's over 2 a team, 2 per team. Because you get it wrong just as many times as you get it right. So when you're talking to somebody and you're watching them play, you're trying to go with like the evidence that you have in front of you, and it's not always conclusive. And then when they get here, some kids surprise you, like, wow, they're better than I thought, and they handle it better than I thought. And then others surprise you, like, I can't believe that this kid's struggling this much. But you don't have a lot of time with them. You don't get to evaluate them as much. But I think that's going to change. I think it's going to go back to the high schools. This whole summer stuff and all this stuff that's going on, all these investigations that you're seeing, that's going to go away. So now you'll have to go to the high school like we used to do back in the day. And Howie and Joe were coaching. Yeah. Now you go back and you recruit them through the high school program instead of whatever they're doing during the summer. So it'll make it a little bit easier. Make it a little bit easier. But if we did away with like YouTube and social media, then I think you would be able to recruit a lot easier. Because kids would have a better sense of whether they're any good or not. And I wouldn't be getting little videos of, oh, this is the number 5 rated 5th grader in the country. How the hell do you know that? You imagine you go to a bar, you go, hey, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm an accountant, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a truck driver. How about you? I rate 5th graders. What the hell? And now kids in 6th grade and goes, yeah, you know I'm one of the top 6th graders in the country, don't you? That's what's happening out there. It's insanity. Yeah.
I would like to know if you have any idea how many of your players are coaching teams.
Well, only Tanya at Temple and Jamel in our league at Cincinnati that we actually see all the time. But Jennifer Rosati's at GW, Morgan Valley's down at Arizona, Carla Berube at Tufts. Nikisha's at Central Florida.
I think that you have 13,000 people come out to a game like Memphis because you have taught us to look at how they're playing, not whether they're winning.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I like to think that when you watch us play, we're a little bit different than the other teams you see play. You know, and I got to tell you, a lot of my players don't watch a lot of basketball on TV. I mean, they may watch like an NBA game or they'll watch a college game on the men's side, but they don't watch a lot of women's basketball on TV for a lot of reasons, but they just don't. They just don't. So when you watch us play and you watch other teams play, it's a little bit different. Yeah, the pace that we play at is a little bit different. You know. Yeah. When is St. Patrick's Day? When? This coming Saturday? Well, he is Italian, so I'll give it a shot. I mean, it's bad enough that the Irish eat all our Italian food. They have to have an Italian saint. Where? Hey.
Coach, what's your relationship with Crystal like? Every time I watch a game, you guys are over in the corner talking. Are you talking about basketball or just whatever?
With who?
Crystal Dangerfield.
Crystal Dangerfield. What's my relationship with her? Well, it depends what time in the game it is. Sometimes my relationship is, that was really good. And she'll come over and ask me a question. Hey, do you think we can? I said, yeah, go ahead. So I think that'd be great. Sometimes my relationship is, how can somebody as quick as you get nothing done on defense? I'll ask her that all the time. And then she'll go out, get a steal or do something. And she, again, like I was saying, a lot of these kids, they take so much pride in their ability to score, but not so much in their ability to do other things. So what we end up doing, I think better than most people, is we recruit great scorers from high school, and then we make them play defense. And I think that's kind of what, some people go, that kid's a great defensive player, let me recruit him. Why? Well, that kid's a great rebounder, let me recruit him. Why? Last time I checked, it's called basketball. You got to put the ball in the basket in order to win. So we try to find guys that can pass, that can dribble, can shoot, and then we try to make them play defense. And she's one of those that she can do a lot of things on offense. So I'm always talking to her about doing things on the other side of the floor. You know? Like that you know when they say that kid plays both ends of the floor? I got guys that play both ends of the floor. When we're on offense, on this end, they're great. When we're on offense at the other end, they're great. Getting them to do it both at the same time, not so great. Yeah.
Nancy Curlin has a question. You remember Nancy?
Oh, no.
What, you want more Final Four tickets?
She has a question she wants you to ask about Dangerfield. Nancy?
They make me sit on my hands. My husband said I can't ask. But I really have a question about how you feel about Crystal only making the third team. I thought.
Yeah. Well, if she played better defense, she might have made second team. Well, you know what happened? Like, she started off the season so great, and she's had problem with shin splints a lot. So she hasn't been able to practice regularly for like the last month. And I don't care what you say, when you're not practicing, it's hard to get better. So she's kind of leveled off. And we need her. So what are you going to do? Use her up in practice all the time and then not be ready for the game? It's tough. So I don't think any of my players, you know what I've told my players? Don't ever, ever, ever be enamored with any awards that people vote on. When people vote, it means nothing. The only thing that matters is when you look at the scoreboard and you win a championship, nobody gets to vote on that. We want it on the court. So when people vote for you, they like you, they don't like you. So what? As long as we like you and we appreciate you, that's all that matters. We could have the National Player of the Year every year if I let them take 30 shots a game like some other schools. But that's not the way we do things. So she'll get hers down the road. Not next year, maybe. I don't know. Following year after Azare, Lou, and Fisa graduate, Crystal will be taking 35 shots. Then I won't care if she guards anybody. Yeah.
When you're recruiting, beyond individual statistics, how much does chemistry, where the player fits into the chemistry of the team, how much does that come into it? How do you make those calculations?
Again, that's another hard one. Where do they fit in? That's a hard one to figure out as well. But you can tell a lot about whether a kid's unselfish when you watch them play. That's easy to determine if you're looking for it. I think sometimes, if I was trying to build a program and I was desperate and I knew that we had to win and there was a lot of pressure on me, I would just be looking for good players and maybe overlook some other things, maybe. But I think when we look at players, are they unselfish? So we end up, generally speaking, with a lot of unselfish players on our team. I'll give you a quick story about Crystal. We were playing early in the season, and we ran something for somebody, and we scored. And we ran it again, and we scored again. And I called her over to the sideline and said, listen, we're going to keep running that until they figure out how to stop it. You understand? She goes, got it. Now, this didn't involve her taking any shots. Now, you on a normal team with normal kids that were national players of the year coming out of high school, good luck with that. But we recruit unselfish kids. Because if you're going to have that many All-Americans on your team and you start bringing in ones that are selfish, your team falls apart. So if you ask me what are the number one thing I look for when I'm recruiting, other than talent, obviously, are they unselfish and can they pass? Because if they can't pass, they can't help you, in my mind. The offense dies when they catch the ball. Now, Nafisa can't pass anything. But she just passes the ball to the basket and it goes in. So with her, we put her in a situation where she never has to pass it. Because God forbid, if she ever had to pass it, forget it. Seriously, I told her, I said, if you have to make a decision between passing it or shooting, shoot it. Because when she shoots, I said, that's got a 50-50 shot of going in. Your passes have no chance of being completed. You got to be honest with kids, you know? She don't care. She made first team All-American last year, just shooting the ball. Yes?
This is just a comment that I'm an old timer, I guess you'd say. Talked about there were no girls' teams. Unfortunately, in my short stay, I was able to enjoy the fact that we started volleyball and basketball. And one of our star players was Debbie Petrovello here, who's missing today. And she went on tremendous coaching years as a player. But I just wanted to say to you, it's not really a question. In all my wildest dreams, we were hoping, we as teenage young, were hoping to get what the men had. We wanted team, we wanted conference play, we wanted even to be in the CIAC listed as a coach. But what you have done for women's sports, you have done, and I can't even put it into words what you've done. But now men's teams are hoping, have picked up on your ideas that have far surpassed anything I could have imagined. So I just want to applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There's last thing I will say is there's a tremendous appreciation for men's sports, obviously in this country, as there is around the world. And there's this perception that women's sports are inferior. Yet no one ever says that women's tennis is inferior. You just get to appreciate those great champions for what they do, and you celebrate it. No one says that women's skiing is inferior. Gymnastics. People don't, figure skating. People don't necessarily compare men's and women's sports when it's individual sports. What's been a major hurdle, as you just alluded to, that I think we've overcome, is this idea that women's team sports are inferior. And if I hear one more time, well, you know, she's not that guy. She's not as good as that guy. That usually comes from guys who weren't any good themselves. Because anybody who was any good at anything that they do would never think that someone who's accomplished what these girls have accomplished are inferior. Because they're much more superior to anything you did when you were in high school or college. And if you were really successful in anything, you would appreciate that success is difficult to accomplish. But for some reason, Americans and around the world have a hard time appreciating women's team sports. Women's team sports have always had a negative connotation, for whatever reason. So I'm proud of the fact that one of the things that we've done at Connecticut is we've tried to let people see that you can appreciate this team and the way they play as much as you would appreciate any other team. And that you don't look at them as those are women playing women's basketball. No, those are great athletes playing basketball. And that to me is what I'm most proud of. You good? Anything good? Yeah.
Let's hear it. Woo! Sun always shines in Middlesex County. Have a great day today.